Again? Hi everyone! Okay, you're not everyone? Welcome to a new Hints and Theories video. My name is Julia, and would I like to get a call from them all? Yeah, I would. I'm glad that you're here with me today again. If you're new here on this channel, hi, I present to you hints and theories that will hopefully help you to figure out who the mole is. If you want to support me and make sure that you do not miss any further hints and theories, then please subscribe and also check out my social media accounts. Well, there's only one girl left in the show and only 4 people left in general, and there's so much we need to talk about today. Let's start with 2 more general hints. The first one is the so-called podcast theory. If you haven't heard about that one yet, I will quickly explain it. So there's an official Widm podcast, and there's, well, 1 podcast episode to each episode of the show. And there are always 2 candidates in that podcast as, well, guests. And there has been the theory, or better said, people figured out that there was always 1 person who was still in the game, as well as 1 person who was, well, the one who left in that episode. So for example, for the first podcast episode, the guests were Anke and Sarah. So you know, Sarah was the one who left the game in episode number 1, and Anke was still in the game. And well, it continued like that, always 1 person who had just left and 1 person who was still in the game. And then the point came where all of them had been guests in that podcast, except for Nabil and Jure. And then people came up with the theory that, okay, either Jure or Nabil is the next person to leave the game. And it turned out that that one was correct, because Nabil was the next one to leave the game. And then people thought like, okay, maybe we should, well, go on with that theory, get to the next step and start from the beginning. So all of the candidates have been guests in the podcasts, so maybe we just need to go back to episode number 1, and the second guest, so to say, was Anke, so maybe Anke is the next one who has to go home. And yeah, that one turned out correctly as well. So if that theory works completely, then Soy would be the next one to leave the game, and we would have a final with Ranomi, Daniel and Jure. The second hint today is about the number 4. You've probably recognized that it is always the 4th screen that turns red. So during the eliminations, we always get to see 3 people seeing their screen, and they all turn green, and the 4th person always gets the red screen and has to go home. It has been like that during the whole season, except for that one special elimination when Anik had to leave the game. I mean, that was a special one in general, so let's exclude that one. So the idea about the 4th screen works for all other eliminations. This time again, Anke was the 4th person. So maybe the number 4 has to have a meaning, simply because it has, well, happened so often at the moment that it can't be by accident anymore. Well, luckily there are several things the number 4 could lead to. The first idea is that the 4th letter of the alphabet is the D, which of course could stand for Daniel, and he's also the 4th person to be seen in the opening. So maybe a hint to Daniel, but it could also be a hint to Jure. Because you probably know that the clover leaf is a sign for luck. So when the clover leaf has 4 leaves, then it is a sign for luck. And if you translate the word luck, so the English word to Dutch, it means geluk. And that one is Jure's last name as well. His name is Jure Geluk. And last but not least, it could also be a hint to Ranomi, because she won 4 Olympic medals. So far so good. Let's jump to task number 1, and there are two, well, more general things we need to talk about. And the first thing is that Daniel landed in the 1000 euro spot. That of course, well, means that he won 1000 euros, but it also means that he made sure that they wouldn't gain the 2000 euros. So with earning 1000, he also played 1000, well, not out of the pot, but he made sure they wouldn't be added as well. So you can interpret it in both ways, in the way of trying to be a good candidate, earning money, but also in the way of being a mole, making sure that there's only 1000 euro and not 2000. And the second thing is that Jure decided to go for the 1 joker spot, which kind of ruins the whole tactic Daniel came up, which actually sounds like the best option, I personally believe. And Jure, well, went for the 1 joker and not for the 2000 euro spot, which would have been the best one, because, well, they could only earn that when 2 people would land in there. Anke was the last one. She basically didn't have any option left anymore. And yeah, it just seems very selfish, but also for more a good tactic not to win any money. Task number 2 wasn't so much about the money. I mean, they did earn some money with doing that, but in the end all of them were focused on getting to talk to the mole. And by the way, in the task, number 4 was again very prominent when they had to figure out that code. There were a lot of instructions with the number 4. In the end, Jure won the game and had the chance to talk to the mole. I personally think this wasn't really like a live talk. It seemed more like they recorded that, and the person, whoever it would be, would listen to a recording. Then the mole revealed a very important information that was actually also figured out by some fans some weeks ago already, because there are questions of the final test on the money that can of course help you to, well, win the game in the end. Task number 3, and there are 3 things to talk about. The first thing is that there was a color hint to Renomi again. You probably remember that in episode number 1, where we had those, well, big boxes in which the candidates were. There were dots on those boxes and they had the colors of the Olympic rings, and now we have those colors again. The flags which were above their heads, and as well the felt tips had those colors, so it could be a color hint to Renomi again. And there are also 2 things about Jure. The first thing is that when you have a look at his test time, so when he finished his test, it were 29 minutes and 57 seconds. And if you sum up the digits, then you end up with the number 23, and yes, this is season 23, and we're also looking for the 23rd mole, maybe hinterher. And one more thing that I haven't heard anywhere else yet, so maybe I'm wrong, but I think if I'm right, then this could be an even bigger hinterher, and you definitely have to tell me in the comments what you think about it, if I'm confused or if I'm, well, on the right track, is that we never got to see Jure fill in any of those questions. So yes, of course, there were shots of him standing in front of the questions. And when he met Renomi filling in the favorite food question, we also got to see him moving his hand, but we didn't get to see him filling out any of those answers. He asks Renomi what her favorite food is, she says pancakes, and he says, okay, I'm not going to go on her, but we didn't see what he actually did then, because we saw a shot of him, but there was like the bush in the way to see him, well, marking anything. And for all the other candidates, we got to see some, well, bits of them checking or marking one of the answers of any question. So yeah, if it is true and I didn't miss anything, then I think this could be a huge hint to Jure, simply because the mole doesn't need to fill in the test. The mole gets to the next episode, the mole doesn't need to test, he always gets a green screen. And he was also acting a lot like, oh my gosh, I am lost in here, I didn't get the right track, where am I? Seems a lot like, well, a mole trying to play a bit with us. And last but not least, before the end of the video, I have two more, well, general and funny hints that have to do with the car ride they did. The first one is about Renomi. Yura asks her something and she replies with, yes, I had to prepare for my date. So the date could be the, well, live date with the mole, the talk with the mole. So it could be a hint from her trying to say like, I'm the one you're going to meet today. And the second one is about Soy. You see him sitting in the back of the car and next to him is a window, and on that window is written, I heart mole. So yeah, maybe a nice hidden hint to Soy as the mole. That were all hints and theories so far to episode number 7. Let me know what you think about them and if I've missed anything. It's always so much fun to read your comments down there and to see what you think about the hints and theories and, well, in general, who is your mole at the moment? I really want to know that. So please make sure to subscribe to this channel to not miss any further hints and theories videos and check out my social media accounts. And please tell me who your main suspect is at the moment. I will see you next week. Bye!